So without delay, may I request NELTA President, Ms. Motikala Subhadewan, to welcome our advisor, Raj Awasthi. Over to you, Moti ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Asoji. Good afternoon and namaskar. Welcome to second day session. We'll start today's session by the opening remarks. Allow me to invite Honorable Professor Dr. Raj Awasthi, advisor, founding member and past president of NELTA, founding vice chancellor of Far Western University, and one of the renowned ELT experts in Nepal. Welcome, Professor Raj Awasthi. Please, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam President, NELTA office bearers, including Professor Lakshman Gewali, the Senior Vice President, office bearers at the provinces and the districts, NELTA advisors, I could see Professor G.R. Bhattrai and Dr. Gangaram Gautam, and the past presidents, key speakers, Professor Abi Subedi, Professor Stephen D. Gratian, Mr. Nick Pichi, and the distinguished participants from home and abroad. Namaste, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. Ni hao, Swatika, Konnichiwa, Salam, Assalamu alaikum, Salamat pagi, Ayubowan, Haujit. Thank you very much, NELTA, for giving me this rare opportunity to make a short opening remark before such an august gathering, and particularly the key speakers. I truly feel honored. This is indeed a historic event during this unprecedented pandemic situation. Representation from fraternity associations like Thai Tishol, JALT, MELTA, BELTA, SPELT, Altai, Tishol Africa, Relo office at the US Embassy, and British Council as ever before makes this event a very special one. During such an unusual situation also, NELTA provinces and branches organized wonderful webinars and connected themselves with the ELT world. These webinars have awakened others to take similar initiatives to show their presence in the country. Some of our provinces and branches experienced this mode of delivery for the first time in their lives, but they conducted them so successfully. I appreciate their efforts from the core of my heart. COVID-19 has brought an unprecedented and a disruptive situation in the whole world, and as a result, 850 million children and youth are out of educational institutions, which constitute 80% of the world population. It has reduced our mobility, interrupted both teaching and learning, and changed our entire lives. We have lost loved ones. Many of them are ill. We are reframing ourselves from our own family members and neighbors. We keep ourselves away from the passers-by. Our faces are covered with masks. We have hidden our smiles, laughs, and even our speech organs. We can't show our students as to however difficult English fricatives, 3 jaws and 2 saws are produced. Our communication skills are suddenly stopped. We are also unsure when we will stop breathing. Our educational institutions suddenly turn into quarantines. All the schools and university level exams are suspended. Students are on the verge of losing their academic year. Thus, we are in a state of depression and uncertainty. Moreover, we are not yet sure when and where we'll be able to make face-to-face Kumbh Mela of ELT practitioners next. It has been more traumatic than the 9/11 in the United States. We are isolated and psychologically depressed. We need the help of positive psychologists who use the acronym HERO for hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism now. This sudden outbreak of COVID-19 has challenged the whole world, including us. It has compelled the countries to think for an alternative mode of teaching and learning. In that sense, it has brought opportunities also. The educational institutions running online modes of teaching and learning with prior preparations felt less challenges compared with the ones who were naive to the introduction of digital delivery. Teachers needed extensive training to become techno-savvy, so were the students. The schools in the urban areas are practicing the online mode of delivery for those students who can afford it. Nepal's topography and a digital divide are two big obstacles in the operation of alternative mode of teaching and learning. Hence, this webinar is an eye-opening forum for all of us to know how our neighbors and the countries across coping with the present alarming situation. Thus, this forum tends to be a meeting of minds and a sharing of experiences. Thus, this forum, the representation from the line ministries of Nepal in this webinar is very important for us to know as to how the government is doing to meet immediate and future challenges of this sort. It is now imperative that the government of Nepal, as well the higher education institutions, have to revisit their curricula, materials, methodology, and evaluation. Today, we have everyone's ELT icon, Abhisar, here, who will deliver his half a century long love and frustrations with Englishes. Abhishek, everyone's loved one, is always with NELTA, and his blessings have helped NELTA grow enormously. Mr. Nick Pichi, a very loved one by all digital and non-digital literates and illiterates, will create a hope for our teachers and students with his PC publishing. And finally, our celebrated Professor S.G. Krashen, whom we have been reading since 1970s, and who got all his intellectual recognition and achievement by drinking coffee, which he started in Ethiopia back in the 60s as a Peace Corps volunteer. His input hypothesis or comprehensible input has further been expanded to process and outcome. Now he believes that comprehensible input is obtained through extensive reading. I have been following his midnight delivery in Morocco and discussion with Professor Chomsky last week. His gracious presence to this beautiful country, though virtually, reminds me of my days at Michigan with Professor Salinker and Professor Susan Gass in the early 80s. After my return from Michigan, we have been able to induct his hypothesis in our academic programs. These three presentations are long awaited for all of us. I hope that these presentations will bring us out from confusion to conclusion, demotivation to motivation, depression to cheerfulness, uncertainty to certainty, quarantine to integration, distance to closeness, digital device to digital access, immobility to mobility, and distance to face to face. Thank you very much, everyone.